Hello.
Yeah, he's on. He's on, Frankie.
All right, let me just
Spin everything around.
Yeah, I just need to move a lot of the stuff.
No problem.
I just need to find the charger. I'll make it switch it off. That's line. There it is.
You know, in the military, Frankie, they talk about preparation.
Yep, and it's 8 o'clock and I'm ready to go.
Good answer.
Order! Send more house to save the house!
Thanks, everybody, for listening to the Housecast. This is a real special edition. It's the Tuesday after the Lancashire League was finally secured, and some celebrations and a great day's cricket and a great day for the club in general. The weather was kind, etc. Joe Martin, I'll just come on to you about what's your thoughts now about us losing a few points, maybe bowling slow over rates, and that could kibosh us, properly lifting the trophy at the end of the season.
I think mathematically, I don't think we can.
Right, okay.
1 point, you only lose a point, don't you, for slow over rate?
Yeah, so you can only lose 3, I suppose.
Yeah. So
unless you do discipline, can you lose any points for discipline issues?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
So in theory, then we could still not win the league.
Well, that's right. There's a specific rule about a crazy wicketkeeper going crazy on the pitch. You could lose 30, 40 points.
I mean, it's
not going to happen.
Point in it.
No, it's not going to happen. So let me just talk through the format of how we're going to do this today. We've got a really good guest on. He was pro for us going back 2011 for a number of years, and I've said this before about Frankie, who is our guest, that I've got to class him, it's my view only, that he is the most significant match winner we've ever had at Lowerhouse. How he can change a game, how he can change a season or a series of games, and not just by getting 6 or 7 wickets or getting a quick 80. He does it certainly when he was pro, he would do it by just a very quietly changing the bowling, changing how he was bowling, etc., or batting fantastically well, and he's continued to do that this year. So, Frankie, I've blown smoke up your backside. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thanks. I'm going to be honest, I was preparing more for some mental warfare because I'm pretty sure Joe Beneducci's got a very deep vault, and I was sort of preparing a list of whatever might be thrown at me, so very kind words. I appreciate it, Jess.
Yeah, well, that's where they stop. You will get some mental warfare now. We will give you the grief. So let's just talk about Sunday night, Frankie. We've got Joe Beneducci on with us as well, who watched all the game. We had some great pints afterwards and some good reminiscing. But Frankie, let's talk through the celebrations. It's just for the listeners' benefit. Frankie is, I think, party animal's not the right way of describing him, but he's very, very kind, very central in everything that happens in a celebration. He's constantly wanting to chat and be funny and walk around with about 6 or 7 different drinks all sorts of different drinks, wants to chat to everyone. How did it go on Sunday night for you, and how were you on Monday?
I was slightly tired. I think Becky didn't appreciate me eating pizza in bed at about 4 a.m.
Oh dear!
I got a really stinky look when I woke her up eating pizza. I thought I was being quite quiet with my camera on my phone, trying to look what I'm busy eating. I then proceeded to eat it on the stairs outside the bedroom.
Oh, no.
But no, it was really good. I think there were definitely a few people that were taking the mantle off me. I could take a bit more of a back seat on Sunday night, which was great. I think it's one of those strange nights where there was nothing in particular that stood out in terms of wild celebrations. I just think it was an exceptionally happy. Everybody just wanted to have a good time, and it's probably the longest that a lot of people have stayed till very, very late as well. Normally, it's just like one or two stragglers that's there. But on Sunday, it was a big group of people. And I was one of the earlier ones who left. There was still a bit of a few boys that were still there till the crack of dawn.
I believe so. Yeah, and you're right what you say about the people that were stopping, but I don't think it helped massively that the game finished when it did. 5:30 finish, which meant people going in the bar sooner and everything. And that's interesting. You said everyone was happy and you were a little bit mentoring. I think there is some significant celebrations that went on that I've never seen before. The trunks, the swim shorts, and the fireworks. What was all that about, Frankie?
I think the fireworks was a bit of a surprise, but I think there was a bit of a sneak preview on the budgie smugglers. Hence, I brought 7 pairs of socks just to make sure that I looked my best when we walked out at night time. But it was fantastic. Benno just took a video on there, and it just looks great. I think it's one of those memorable things that you can, as a club as well, that it's not just getting pissed, but it was like a bit of a team celebration, doing something really different, which was fantastic.
Yeah, and you're right. It's something different that will, everyone was a bit taken aback, thinking, "Crikey, what's going on here?" And you're right. To bring the socks was fantastic, just to enhance things a little bit. I think you should maybe put them in the front of your budgie smugglers and not the back, though.
I thought I went for an all-round look. That was nice.
All round, brilliant. Joe Martin. There was 10 players in budgie smugglers and one who was in his training kit.
I know, I'm mine on.
Explanation?
I'm mine on. It's just not. We're all individuals, Jez.
Absolutely.
So
Well, if I was really expecting, I was really surprised that Patrick got fully on board. Yeah. But I always look, and it's a shame this is a podcast, but when Joe comes round for a barbecue, I always ask him if he wants a sausage, and he always does. Yeah, I really want one of the sausages, and I was really expecting something that we've not seen before, but he did quite disappoint.
Yeah, he does. He doesn't. He never fails to surprise us. But we're not. There's certainly no peer pressure, and and good how it all went. And like you said, Frankie, the videos are outstanding, and they'll last forever in our memories. Dooch, we had a few pints up there. Rachel was sat down with the girls and was wandering around. A lovely evening. Have you any memories of it? And were you quite rough?
My memories are a little bit patchy. I wasn't too rough. But just on the celebrations, the fireworks and the budgie smugglers, do you not think that's just like a benefit of having it wrapped up so early? You can think about how you're going to celebrate these things. When we've won trophies in the past where it's gone down to the wire or you're in a cup final, you can't be making plans about how you're going to celebrate. But if you win it with, a month to spare or whatever, then you can put a bit of extra thought into that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's why it is worth it. It is, and it's another measure, and we'll go on to this, of what a quality side that is. That there's at least 4 or 5 other sides within the league, who could at the halfway stage had thoughts of winning the league, but you just completely smashed all that with the quality that we've actually got, and how we can change games, and we're never out, never down and out. We've had a question whilst we're on about the celebrations. We've had a question come in. This was from Stuart Gaynor. Who was the last one to leave the club?
Oh, my bet would be probably Charlie Gansler, because he probably didn't have a lift. But probably Salpy or Gansler would be my strong bet.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Joe Martin, have you seen any of them since? Has anyone said?
I think some actually stayed the whole night. I think Roger greeted some of them in the morning when they were getting ready to clean up. So I think they did a through-up, if that's still a phrase, I think.
Yeah. I can confirm that because I was in my van.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I've got up at 7:30, had a bit of a walk, got myself together, gone into the Joe Martin room to freshen up a touch, and I can hear something going on, and I'm thinking, oh no, please don't let me compromise anything here. And I didn't know what to do, but then I could hear a lot of giggling voices, and there were 3 first team members in the dressing room who'd slept there all night.
Have they slept there all night, or they'd been on the piss all night?
Yeah. Probably the second, most likely.
Um,
Just on a side note with this, Jays, I was chatting to Joe, or I think even Dutch might know, Bucky's down south, one of my South African mates, and chatting a bit, and they are in a relegation battle, and just had a catch up and said that we've won the league and celebrations and stuff. And I mean, a massive kudos to Salpy for this. And my feeling is it's like he completely grasps the idea of what a professional should be for a cricket club. And it's not just about runs, cricket, coming to training. It's the other things around it, understanding that people are giving up loads of time to actually play the game, time away from their family. He was the main instigator for all of the celebrations and anything. Not saying probably Ben didn't have an input, but he was the main guy planning all of it. And I think he was absolutely spot on.
I mean, that's so interesting to say. And as I'd said at the start, Frankie, I think you were one of the, as I've said, a pro that put so much into the club. And it's not just about you getting 1,100 runs and 80 wickets in a season. And I've done a great job and we've finished third. So that's interesting. You say that Dan has taken that on a level further in that, it's about success, it's about winning, but we also got to enjoy that success and celebrate it.
Yeah, I think he's said it enough. I think if you need to create the culture first before you can win. And I think it starts becoming a little bit hand in hand. If you win, the culture becomes easy. But I think there's been a lot of adversities this year when you think about some of the wins that we've pulled out of the hat and some hiccups, the Worsley Cup being one of them, that could curtail the season completely. Like 2 years ago when we lost to Littleborough in the final, and then from there, top of the league. I don't think we won a league game again until the following year. So there are a lot of things to come back from. And I think the fact that he focused on the culture first and getting that right, and then leading into the success side on the field, I think that's the really important thing that a lot of people try to do it the other way. And I just don't think it always works.
No, but that is down to the character of the people who do it, and it's not a criticism of all the pros that have been in the league previously, whether it's Alan Dolan, Viv Richards or whoever, but it is something that is really, really important. And it is to be treasured and kept hold of, and, hopefully we can carry on that, which I'm sure we will do. Let's just go into the game, because I've got loads of questions here for Frank, and I'm sure we've got a few other points we want to go through. So let's just go into the game. I'm going to continue to put you under pressure with questions that you don't like answering, but the pitch didn't look, it looked too dry. Early on in the innings, it looked very dry, and it did appear, Dan and a few others were concerned about how it was going to play. What was your view on that before we go into the runs that were scored?
I was very conscious, not really listening to podcasts, that every time anybody's come on, that they've been very quite in the middle of everything. I'm quite vocal about the pitches, and it was definitely very dry. And I think the really difficult thing is in England is that when it's dry in England, you're so scared to put any water on the pitch because you're so worried it's going to rain. And I have this issue at school with the ground staff. When it's wet and it rains, we actually deal with it better because you're used to it. It's when it's really dry, you don't really know what to do. And yes, it was definitely very dry. And if we did bat second, it could have been potentially a really tricky wicket to bat on. But I mean, once we got that score, it was we would be very happy with 150, 160 against probably any side defending that. Even though Rochdale got more than they should, but that was mainly due just because how many runs we had and we wanting to and then push a bit with the field placings. But it wasn't a pleasant. I definitely didn't go in thinking, I'm feeling great, and I'm going to really come and bash out that 100 or 60 balls.
Yeah, and I'll go into that as to how us as spectators were thinking the pitch had changed slightly with the way, yourself, Tom Walker to a lesser degree, but Paddy and Joe Hawke, but I don't think it did change much. But I'll go into that in a second. But that's a really interesting point, Frankie, around water in the pitch. And the other problem we've got is facilities, and I'm not just saying at Lowerhouse, at a lot of other clubs, you look at Lancashire, who, are very good at keeping the pitch dry, and then they will have gallons, hundreds of gallons of water going on per minute straight after the game. We've got a sprinkler that's it'll just about sprinkle someone's garden if it's on all night. So that is an issue as well. But I suppose we get so many wet summers, how do you invest in that? I mean, I guess back in South Africa, you would have done the same as Lancashire, just absolutely saturated it.
Properly. So and the other thing as well is it's such a multi-use facility. It's so, I mean, the way that you would finish your game on a Sunday, you would absolutely flood the wicket after the game, so it's completely soaked. It goes deep down, so when you then roll it, it obviously compresses all the loam and everything together, and then you can roll it properly. There's no point rolling it when it's dry. You will just crack it up.
Yeah.
But if you soak it, then it's probably going to still be a little bit damp for a day and a half. And then if you play junior games on there, how do you manage them not damaging? There's so much permutations in there. So I have this issue with Dutch when we play golf. I'm a very outspoken person about greens as well. And when we had that dry spell after they've holitined it, they've just not watered it, and there's no growth, nothing on there, and it's just horrible. But just because there's no facilities, it's not really sprinklers. The ground stuff has to physically go and water greens, and I imagine that's what Stan has to do as well. Just get a slow hose pipe, and I can't. It goes very quickly.
Yeah, and it does take, it's a big outlay to, if we say once every 5 years we have a summer like that, it is something to consider. I will, Joe Martin, I'm going to come on to you in a minute of what the thoughts were in the dressing room around those first 2 or 3 wickets that went in the pitch. But whilst we're on to golf, I believe it's your birthday today, Frankie. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you very much. Just turned 32.
32.
I know it doesn't look like it when you see me run, but just...
No, you do. You've got that young athletic look about you. And for your birthday today, what have you been up to?
Golfing. Golfing this morning, yeah.
Right.
Meet Paddy, Dooch and Blaze.
All right. Good little team there. Good little team. Yeah. Play 4-ball or you?
Me and Paddy play against Blaze and Joe. We've had a bit of a tough start to the summer, but we're on a good roll. On a couple. Right. And when we started playing for some big bucks on the back end of the season, we started, coming to the fore.
Right, and who won?
Me and Paddy won. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Dude, I thought you were quality.
Update the office there, Jez. It happens from time to time.
Right, no excuses. Dry greens.
Yeah, greens were too dry. That's it. Yeah. No excuses. They played very well, to be fair. Well, Paddy did anyway.
Well, I didn't want to bring this up, but me and Dutch play a very strong singles competition in between the
right.
As well, and I picked him singles as well. So he must have done that because it's my birthday. He's a guy like that.
Yeah, fantastic! What a great day. Well done, Frankie. And straight after the Lancashire League win. So let's just go back to the pitch, Joe, because it was really interesting. There's lots. Let me just set the scene. There's lots of people watching, and it's fantastic to see. There is quite a lot of people around where we normally sit who don't generally come to watch cricket that much unless it's a big occasion, and they constantly, there's probably 20 or 30 sat there, constantly asking me or Matt, "Cracky, what's happening here?" Why? They're thinking, sun's out, blue sky, we should be 100 for none off 12 overs and, getting 300, and to try and explain to them that it's not just that easy when it's so dry, and what's a good score. What was the attitude in the dressing room like, Joe, when you could see the pitch was playing as you expected?
Well, I think it was an abrasive surface, is how you could describe it. We didn't think it was going to be easy, and you kind of look at the plans that you've got and you try and execute, and we have done all year. And you just try and play kind of accordingly to that, I guess. But obviously Francois batted exceptionally well. And, as he's done all year, really, he's come in and sort of settled the ship, and you kind of bat round him. He's always been very good at absorbing an innings.
So you're saying it's boring, Joe? Cheers.
No, definitely not boring. But kind of takes the pressure off everybody else to let them kind of play however they want to.
It looks like he sums situations up quicker than most others. That's how it looks from the side.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think I said on last week's podcast that he's still an unbelievable cricketer.
You should listen to that, Joe.
Oh, did you know?
Yeah, you need to listen. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to listen, because I said that you're an incredible cricketer, and you're right, Joe. He does assess a situation and is able to play it accordingly. And the other thing is that, Rochdale aren't. I know they're in the kind of relegation zone and lower down in the league, but they're not a bad side. And their two main bowlers, Ollie Makin and Harling, are really good cricketers and good bowlers. So if Harling got on that wicket and got on a bit of a roll, he has the potential to bowl you out. So I don't think it was easy for first up. I think we would have been happy with 150, 160, as Francois said, but Frankie and Paddy just sort of took that game away from them. And
Yeah.
I'm sure Francois won a massive six.
Yeah, well, we'll go into that. I hope Francois can remember how he described it to me at about 12:15 on Monday morning. It was a really good description of that six. But I think we've got to mention the way Henry batted. He battled, did Henry there? He battled, and it did seem that was the worst period to bat, as you said. Tom got one. There were a few puffing. There was, and Ben's I think kept a little bit low that he's played on. Henry's, great job. But then I think you're right, Dooch. I was just going to say exactly the same. Frankie has got that ability to work out things, is how the game's going, how he can impact it the most in his time. And obviously, you've got to have the ability as well to carry out that role. And I thought that was carried out perfectly. Did the pitch change, Frankie? It's $1 million question. All the people that are watching, I've seen when we are, I don't know, 50 odd for 60 for 4, 67 for 4, 90 for 5. I'm saying to these people, we've got some really good batters that can come. If we get 180, I think that'd be a really good score. That'd be above par. And then it seemed to change. And I know you're batting, you're working out their bowlers, you're having them bowl in places that you want them to bowl. But the pitch seemed to change a little bit. Is that just an illusion, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's more the hardness of the ball, Jez. So when the ball's really hard, it grips a lot more. So if you look in India as well, they bring spinners on straight away because as soon as the ball gets a bit soft, everything's a bit slower. So when you played Ollie Makin at the start, it was really sharp, bitey spin. And then in about 20 overs, you could play him off the back foot almost every ball. He was not really going to turn it past your back, so you could almost wait for the ball to turn a little bit. And it does get, I'd say, easier, but your margin for error, like they're not just going to rip one and it's going to really, if it pops up, you have time to adjust a little bit with your hands and understanding probably of the seam bowlers. You're not going to just come in and drive on the up, but still, if it's a half volley and bad ball that you could still put away. I think the disparity in terms of the amount of boundaries that got scored and dot balls are really big. There wasn't really a lot of strike rotation, if that made sense. So, like, it was either a 4 or dots, really. That's the sort of wicket you either have to be really content in, or if you're going to drive or hit it, you're going to have to really hit out. And I just think the fielding, once you get on top on a team in that situation as well, they let us off with a few sloppy misfields that went for 4, and you taking singles when they shouldn't be, and then they start trying to plug gaps, and it's a momentum game at that stage. Once you've broken the back there, it becomes easy in the sense that they've almost given up in a way that they're just trying to get to 50 overs and get in almost.
Yeah, and
you end up go from 200 to 260 without they even realizing they're just trying to get to the end.
100%, and that's a really good description of the ball getting softer. We've all played lots and lots of cricket, but I'm not sure any of us have gone out to bat and think if I bat for 10 overs, the ball's going to get softer. So that's the professional mentality and the working out the game. So that's a really good insight for the listeners. And as you've said, to have us, 67 for 4, and the pros gone, the 2 good opening batters have gone. It was a good. Well, it wasn't good. It was a fantastic recovery. So you're picking your shots. You can tell that shot that you play, it is almost a straight bat that you play, which goes over deep mid wicket. You get yourself in a position, you get yourself stable, and because you've read the ball, you can hit it, and you're not necessarily pulling it. It's almost straight. There's one that rattled under my van, knocking the exhaust all over, and then the second 6 you hit is as big as I've seen for a while, certainly down that neck of the woods. Just describe those shots, and were they premeditated? Was it something you were prepared?
Yeah, so Ollie was bowling really slow. I think he didn't, obviously with the short boundary being straight, he was trying to make it really hard for you to come at it. And all amateur batters, if their go zone is to run down the track and go straight. So he was trying to keep it out of that hitting zone. And with Hawkey there, we were like 2 wickets away. So if I or Hawkey get out with 3 overs to go, nothing against Joe Martin. I'm sure he could accelerate and score at 20 off 10 balls. But I was just saying to Hawkey, like, look, even the second to last over against the Pro, even if we face a maiden there, we can still score 20 off the last over. We just need to make sure we don't go too early. And it was just setting up for that. I knew last over, that's what I was going to do. But Hawkey hit the nice 6 the previous over off him, and I played a nice sweep, not trying too much risk. But as soon as I knew, right, we've got the last over in, it's now go zone, I had that shot planned out. Like, I know he was going to bowl slow. I knew where I wanted to go, and you just sort of pre-execute. But yeah, it was a nice one.
The second one,
I said to Joe, I hit it today, and I went, "Oh, that's big." But in my head, and I just watched it go all the way, and I just kept looking at it. And when it bounced, I got up and just went to the keeper. Woo, that's big. And I probably said it to the wrong person. Rochdale's keeper was not probably your prototypical first team keeper. I don't think he appreciated it.
Yeah, and that's how you described it afterwards. But you're so good at telling stories, Frankie. You actually showed us in the bar how you did it, and then you turn around and it's just a big whoa. You're not doing it to belittle him or any of the Rochdale players. No. You're doing it of excitement.
Excited. Yeah. I don't always hit the most sixes, but that one was definitely.
Yeah, that went. He did go a long, long way. So we get way beyond certainly what I expected, and I think what other people expected. They are really, it was quite warm, so they're down and out a little bit. 265 for 9. We've had partnerships. There's a partnership there of 70. Another partnership, of 50 in no time.
They got 60 in the last 5 overs, Jess. 60 runs in the last 5 overs.
Yeah.
A kick in the teeth, that.
Yeah, and especially we're 8 down as well, Joe. So we go again to that, we have that belief and that knowledge. And I know what you're saying. Joe Martin's not going to hit 30 off and over. He's not going to hit 4s and 6s everywhere, but he will stop with you, or he'll stop with Hawker, or he will contribute to, an extra 20 runs later on. He will never give up one, Joe. So it's a fantastic effort to get to that many. And I do think I was really, I'd said to the people around, it'd be great if this is a good game and a close game and we can win it. Obviously, we want to win it and be entertained right up to 7, 8 o'clock. But it wasn't to be. Good work again, opening the bowling with Paddy. I think that were a must. Joe Martin, a few of us were thinking that Dan might have opened as well with him. Was that ever a consideration that you're aware of? I know you never get asked, but was that a consideration?
No.
Always going to open with Tom?
Yeah, I think with the ball being really hard and trying to make the most of that bit of inconsistent, when it crashes through the top, it will mostly happen when the ball's hard. And letting Tom come in, push him back a little bit, knowing that they're going to come out hard, trying to break the back a little bit, and his ability to get out their best players as well, I think giving him a burst, and then you always know you've got Dan whenever you need him to come back on. I think that was always the way to go.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, to be fair to them, it wasn't a case of we're just going to hang around and get to 150 and see what we can get off the last 10 overs. I think they were looking to score quickly, whether that was to speed the end of the game up or they thought that they could push through and get towards that 200 mark and then have a real fist of it. But great bowling performances. Paddy's 4 for 61, 2 stumpings for you, Joe Martin. Getting your stumpings up, one off Dan, one off Paddy. Do you feel comfortable on that pitch? It wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't easy, especially as Francois said, when the ball got a little bit softer and it's slower. But Dan gets quite a lot of bounce. So ball 1 and 1 went past my head, and I kind of wondered how I was going to fare on this wicket. I think it was. It wasn't easy to keep on stood up, so I had to change my stance a little bit to try and give a bit more access to the ball turning in or away from the left-hander. So it just a case of making sure you concentrate. So even though there's a lot of you're thinking about winning and then winning the league and everything, you still got to kind of keep doing your job, I guess, if you can, because you're going to get there quicker if you do that.
The thing that I didn't enjoy was I got pulled from fine leg to a very short third slip against Tom Walker. The ball, the amount of balls that didn't carry to Joe, bouncing short, and then one flying through at his head was really enjoyable. Because I could just imagine one hitting me either on the shin or in the nose.
And
but I think that was the hardest, is finding where to stand, which is like, are you coming closer? Do you try and wear one, or do you go deeper? Yeah, it was really tricky.
And your third slip to the spinner as well, Frank?
Yeah, you got to get down.
Yeah. Yes.
I can't imagine it was a good sight on the street. Yeah. I noticed I had a massive hole in my whites, and I thought it happened because I had my whites on all night on Sunday, and then I noticed it during the night. And we're renovating the whole house, so we have no kitchen at the moment, no washing machine, and I've just been to the in-laws for food, and Ian said, "Oh, that hole was there last week," so I've been playing with that hole. So I don't know what it looked like on the stream, but like I said, I can't imagine it being pleasant.
No, and that's a good point as well, Frankie. The outfield was born hard, and it's difficult. I know we've done a lot of work on the outfield, but it's a minefield. Ball bouncing in front of you, flying up, shooting through. It is so difficult. So I'm not even going to ask the question: were you ever in doubt? You obviously won it quite quickly, quite early. There was about 11 of us had a sweepstake around the. Around where we were sat as to what score they would get, and it was interesting that Di won. Matt's wife won the actual sweepstake. Dooch went for 88 and Di went for, I think, 118. So Di won the 11 quid. There were no one over 150 though, I think, right at the start. I don't think anyone had anticipated them getting any more than that. But a great win, the league title in the bag with 3 games to go. Is there any... I know we can continue to put this out on the Housecast. Any plans yet? Any thoughts about, an official celebration? Open top buses through Padiham or anything like that?
I let the people in charge of that make those decisions. I only turn up. I'm the personality. I don't make the decisions.
Let the media group do that.
Yeah, exactly. There was a massive 2-day celebration planned originally, which I was getting ready, and Paddy rang me to say that it's been cancelled. So I think we'll have to probably do another one at some stage.
Yeah.
Day two was cancelled.
Yes, day 2. Well, that was predicted. I said that to Paddy a week ago, and I know we discussed it to play golf this morning, and I said, well, let's just see what happened on Monday. But I think we both knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I was ready, Jez. I was ready for day 2.
You were ready to go on the football?
I was up for anything within reason.
Yeah, I want to describe myself as ready, but I was on my way to go.
Yeah, and do we know who cancelled it? Was it a team effort?
I just think it's one of those, Jace, that nobody actually puts out that they're going, and you just end up realizing that everybody is pretty tired.
Yeah, no one's going. Yeah, the 3 in the dressing room were pretty tired, I think. So an outstanding performance, the way the league season's gone, the amount of great performances, backs against the wall. There's some games that you've won that you've worked extremely hard at. So congratulations to the whole team, the whole group had the setup at the club. So fantastic to see that. Joe Dooch is from the management side, the management committee. Has there been much spoke about since Sunday about going forward the rest of the season and next year that you can actually reveal?
No, we haven't discussed anything yet. We will obviously in the close season sit down and see where we are and what we need to do in the winter, but that hasn't taken place yet. As far as I'm concerned, we'll just continue the season, finish it off as strong as we possibly can. From a selection point of view, I hope that we don't have too many changes between now and the end of the season. I'd like to see us finish as strong as we possibly can, both 1s and 2s, and then we'll see where we get to in the winter.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Dooch. I'm going to go on to the 2s now. Is there anything else from you, Frankie, before we arrive at the cup final? That's all before we move on to the second team. Not the cup final, the last game.
Yeah, I think just the one of the it's a weird feeling because I've not been there at the start of the season, and then sort of coming in midway through. It's a bit of a different feeling, maybe the whole year commitment. But the nicest feeling for me it's like certain people, especially Ben, I don't think people can understand how much of himself is given to have that moment on Sunday. And it was just a really nice moment sharing that with him. Obviously, Salpy, Charlie and Henry together. There's so many nice moments that you share with the group. So I just think that that's an important note for me, especially Ben. And I definitely told him about 20 times as well in different variations and stages on Sunday night. But I think that was the nicest moment for me, was because I know how much he's wanted it for so long, and how much he's worked behind the scenes, and how much he's stressed, sleepless nights, worried about it to culminate in that. So.
No, that's a lovely thing to say. Because he was over the moon, obviously, and the way he celebrated it with his family, and then obviously with all the players and the supporters was a joy to behold. Joe Martin, anything about the title win and the actual weekend, etc. Before I move on?
I think I've been involved in 4 league titles, all kind of at different stages of playing in the first team, and this one felt a little bit different, especially because it's like 11 years since we won the last one. Obviously, we won the first 2 with Francois, and that was amazing to get such a good group of young cricketers together and do something that was really special at the time, and still continues to be so. And we have really fond memories of that. 2014, you had a group of players that knew how to win and so on. And this one has been a big build-up, and this has been in the making for 2 years. So Dan and Ben deserve a lot of credit for putting the right kind of atmosphere and team together to really try and play some enjoyable cricket, and not just enjoyable for us playing, but enjoyable for everybody watching as well. And it felt joyous, the win on Sunday, and how we played for the last couple of years. So it was extremely enjoyable to win in and win playing such positive cricket.
I mean, they're great words as well, Joe, and it is something that we have spoke about on this podcast, and people might laugh and think, it's ridiculous, but it is, you're looking like you're enjoying the cricket, even when it's not going well. You battle through it, and if you don't, you don't win, you lose particular games. The Burnley game in the semi-final of the Cup, it's a game of cricket, and you move on. People enjoy watching you all, and it's entertainment. That's what you're there for. I know, it's not like the Premier League where people are getting tens, hundreds of thousands of pounds to play in it, but it is there, and it's an entertainment game. And the people who came on Sunday, as I said, a lot of people who don't generally watch it, certainly were entertained. So great work for you and for Frankie and the rest of the team. Second team, it's worth going through this. This was outstanding. The second team were back watching. I mean, the first team finished at 5:30, and the second team have managed to get back and watch about an hour, maybe a bit longer.
Probably more than that.
Yeah, probably a couple of hours. And this is not to belittle anyone at all, and it's not to think that we are big time Charlies. But there was a little amount of planning in this as well, I believe. I think the second team have gone there, all right, they haven't won the toss. But Accrington have batted first, and we bowled them out for 69 in 23 overs. Ollie Williams, 7 wickets, and Charlie Bissell, 3 wickets. Great performance, bowling them out as quickly as they did. And then by all accounts, it's a case of, let's get Keegan up the order, and let's go out and knock them off. And they knocked off the 70 in 7.3 overs and were done and dusted back at the club. The second team are a great group of people, Dooch. There is, they're quite a young side. That ensured they got promotion to the top division. Do you foresee any difficulties next year because of the difference in standard between that first and second division? And if so, has the club got any plans as to how they can try and address that?
Well, first of all, you're right. It is a difference in standard, and they will notice that for sure next year. They've coasted through this division this year, barely losing a game, and that will not happen next year. They're gonna come up against some very very strong second 11s, and they will have to sort of up the game to keep. To keep in that division. But I do think they've got more than enough to stay in that division. I think they'll be fine. I think they are a developing side. They've got some young lads who are getting better, who are getting more exposure to second team cricket. Obviously, the captain himself is getting better as a captain, and he scored runs. So I think they'll be fine. Like I said, they're not going to find it as easy as they found this year, but I do think they'll be fine. In terms of plans, I presume you're talking about recruitment. Well, we haven't even got there yet, and I don't know. Do we ever really actively recruit second team players? I don't think that's really what we do as a club. We've got some young players who we would like to give opportunities to. Of course, if there is an opportunity to sign someone who we think would be useful to us as a club, then we would look at it. But I don't see us signing a number of players to play in the second 11.
No, that's a great point, Dooch. I've not really thought that myself when I asked the question. It's not a great thing to say, will you come and play in our seconds, especially if they're in someone else's first team. But I'm just thinking more about the squad mentality. We have that real first and second team all together. There's obviously a difference in attitude and a little bit of difference in ability, obviously. But we encourage players from other clubs who can perform in our second team and then push the first team. For injury, we've been so good this year. We haven't had a real loss of form. We haven't had a lot of injuries, so we've had a settled side. There's 2 or 3 players in my mind that I'm aware of that I'm not prepared to say on here that possibly would look to come and play. And it's not something we'd discourage, I guess, Dooch. I know you're saying about not going out and recruiting, but
Well, there is a balance to be struck between signing players and developing your own, and we obviously shouldn't lose sight of that, should we? We don't want to hamper the development of our young lads who've had a taste this year just for the sake of signing X number of players. And we won't discourage signing players, but there has to be a balance, I think.
yeah, I get that, and I like the way you're avoiding the question.
I'm not avoiding the question. I'm not avoiding it at all. I'm not aware of us going after any players, certainly not at the moment. Would we do it? Yes, if it was the right set of circumstances, just in the way that we've signed players for the first team in the past.
Yeah.
But I guess I wouldn't like to see us sign 3 to play at second 11, and that knocks back the development of 3 of the younger lads. So that wouldn't sit well with me.
I just want to point out I had a really good Sunday because I won 2 leagues actually on Sunday, being a former second team player this year as well. So it was quite a double enjoyable day for me.
Yeah, I mean it's worth mentioning that for the listeners going back this year, and it's a question that will bring me on to nicely, Frankie, about what happened last year with yourself and then coming back and playing this year. For the listeners' benefit, Frankie decided mid-season, just before the halfway stage, or announced that he wanted to come back and play, and he wanted to contribute to the Lowerhouse cause. Frankie will go into it, I'm sure, in details in a minute. His job that he does, the coaching that he does at a school in the area, does restrict him a little bit during certain periods of the season. But when Frankie announced that he wanted to be considered, it was a particular period where no one was injured, no one was out of form. So it was a case of, Frankie, you're going to have to play in the seconds and prove yourself. The second team players I've spoken to, Frankie, and again I'm blowing smoke up your backside, have said it was an absolute pleasure, your attitude and the way you played. So all credit for that. Can you talk us through your thoughts last year when you decided not to play again, and then why you started to make noises of coming back playing, please?
I think the biggest thing was I don't think I could retire. I could never just say, right, that's it. But I definitely just didn't enjoy playing cricket. I don't think there was a specific reason to why. I didn't really know why. Me and Dude chat a lot during that, and I think we both were aware that I think if I had to do everything again, I would do exactly that. And I think I just needed to understand exactly what I wasn't enjoying. What was it? Was it actually cricket? Was it the time away? Was it weather? I wasn't sure what it was, and I think just taking a bit of time away, the big realization for me was the feeling of time congestion. It just felt like almost, even though I was an amateur, the expectation of me from a time when I'm playing, the expectation of what the players still expected of me, I don't know, but still in my own head, I just saw myself still as a professional, even though I've been an amateur for a long time. And just having a bit of time away sort of relaxed my mind. I was really happy and content not playing cricket when it was April and there were friendlies and everything was going on, and I was fully involved with my golf, and I've been playing the best golf I've probably done in years. But probably 3 weeks in, I was saying to Dutch, like, you just don't get the same enjoyment playing the best round of your life at golf. That you can't share it with anybody. There's just nobody really even cares going through all your shots or what you've done well, or there's just nobody to share it with. And I think that's the biggest thing that I missed, is the team ethos and the team environment. And that's the quite contentness that I've had coming back, that it's not about really how well I bat or what I personally do. Is just trying to impact games of cricket for the team and making sure that we can win. And I apologise to you in that semi-final in the club, because you were saying, "Oh, really well batted," and I said, "I can't say well bat because we didn't win. Like, I would rather get 0 and not win." And that's the sort of feeling and the reason why I came back. And I think I've just accepted. I don't think I could just. I'm going to have to be carried off, or there has to be some catastrophic something. I think I'm just going to always play cricket, not necessarily because I absolutely love the game, but it's the team culture and ethos. And as long as that is healthy and positive, and I feel like I'm giving up my free time for something that I can really enjoy and be part of, then I mean, I don't know what the time frame is for cricket, but it's definitely massively extended.
Yeah, and I suppose it's also, it'd be interesting your view on this, dude, because you know Frankie so well and you've had these chats with him, and also the spectator element of it. You know, you are a social man. You love talking to any spectators. You will talk to them about the game, about your performance, other people's performance. And I get where you're coming from with the golf aspect. You know, you can play the best round ever on a fantastic course, but after the game, you're talking about your shots, or your partner's talking about your shots or their shots. So I really get that. What's your take on it, Dooch, with the Frank? It's fantastic, obviously, that he's come back and played for us, and all credit, for performing in the second team and getting himself in the first team the way he did. What was your take on it at the time, and was there ever any doubt that it wasn't the right thing to do as a club?
No, I don't think there was any doubt that it was the right thing to do. It was difficult at the time because we were top of the league and we had a very settled side, and we spoke at the time and said, well, let's wait for an opportunity to pick him. And then a couple of weeks went by and that didn't really happen. I think there was one game that he played at home against Ramsbottom, but then that sort of shot that you were waiting for didn't really come. So that's when the second team discussion happened, which obviously raised a lot of eyebrows. We have an ex-professional who's playing in the second 11, which doesn't look natural to a lot of people who'd be looking at that. But then we quickly worked out a way of getting him in, and since then it's been great. I mean, I've just been looking at the runs that you've scored this year in a short space of time. What is it? What have you got, Frankie? 270, 218, 7 knocks. I know you're not really a stats man anyway, but that 45s, an average of 45. So in terms of giving the team a push to get us over the line, whether we needed it or otherwise, I'm not sure. But what Johnny Russell actually said to me on Sunday, what a signing that would have been after after maybe half a season to bring Frankie in and give us the push. The one thing I wanted to ask you though is, what about your spot in the batting lineup? Because I've heard you say a number of times in previous seasons that you didn't want to bat at 5 even, never mind 6.
Yeah, but that's because I have to bat behind Dean Barlow. Sorry.
And now this year, obviously you've been batting at 6, which I think's a great spot for you to be in for the team. But how do you sort of rationalise that? What's your thoughts on that, given what you've said previously?
I think the reasons why I didn't want to bat lower down was not necessarily because of the numbers spot specific. It was the role and the way that we bat in the top order now versus maybe how we've gone in the years past was completely different. You would go in with the run rate at 5s, and that allows you at number 6 to control the game a lot better. Where in how you batted at number 6, maybe in other years where we were 120 for 4 or 40 overs, and then you go in with 10 overs left and people expect you to pull a hat out of the bag. And I just was the reason why I didn't want to do it. I feel I can be more impactful batting higher up, control that we don't end up at 120 for 4, but that we're 160 for 4, for instance. That was the main reason. But the fact that the approach that we have from Johnny and Ben, with Henry at 3 as a junior, the way that Salpy bats, the way that Tom Walker especially bats, and me filling that slot, it doesn't really feel like you are batting at number 6, if you will. I still came in with probably 30 something overs left on some, and those loads of overs. And I think I've embraced the responsibility and the competing of batting at number 6. It's completely different. I think when you open the batting or bat 3, you've got a blank canvas. You can almost just dictate how you want to play. Doesn't really matter about the situation. When you're batting number 6, you have to almost adapt to what the game's giving you, and you've got to roll with the punches there. And I think I've embraced that side in terms of the competitiveness and controlling and batting with the Tom Walker, batting with the Charlie Gansler, batting with Paddy, batting with the guys around it. I think it's that responsibility and it's the competitiveness, I think, that side of just competing in a slightly different way that I've embraced. And I'm not necessarily against anybody would probably want to bat longer, but I'm very content. And I think for the team, it's definitely the best. If something had to change and people miss or people aren't scoring runs and they feel to push me up, that's fine. But it's definitely not something I'm pushing.
Yeah, and I think, this will come on to your fitness and the way you play. Those beginnings, which you might, you've had at least 3 this year. Unfortunately, we fell short at Ramy in the Burnley game. But you've had beginnings where you've made massive impact just yourself. And if you're doing that, if you're batting in the top 3 or 4, and you've been asked to bowl a couple of overs, it's not as easy. I think it's worth mentioning again to the listeners. Frankie put so much in to his bowling and certainly his batting and the fielding. And I'm not being unkind, Frankie. I don't think you've got that athletic, lithe body that can roll with injuries.
I don't think I've ever had it. I'm just the same athleticism, but just extra 25 kilograms. I'm putting a bit more into my eating and drinking these days, rather than the other stuff. But yeah, 100%. Look, my body is feeling okay. It's still creaky, and even if I don't play cricket, it's a bit creaky waking up. But the fact that I'm bowling as well is quite exciting. Like, I'm sure you would know that feeling of bowling a ball, Jez, and when it's just coming out and you're getting that feeling of it's just shaping or nipping. And I have a few spurts and a few small bursts there. That's quite exciting. And we've been so good with the ball this year that I've just not necessarily been needed.
That could change. That could change next year. Yeah, and and just to clarify the point I was making there, Frankie's a young cricketer, came to us in his first couple of years. He was sharp. He ran in and was quick. Could obviously move the ball around, but was a quick bowler, throwing everything into it. If I can't say, a typical South African, that I'm going to throw everything into this game and I'm going to, try and win at all costs. And it does suffer. The body does suffer as a result of that. So it's all credit that you've made the decision. It's so interesting listening to what you've said about coming back for this year. And I'm aware you're not a rain-affected game player whatsoever. And I can see that in you. You will be a real nuisance in the dressing room when it's raining, I bet.
I'm all right. I think there's definitely 1 or 2 guys that will happily take that mantle off me. I am the quietest guy sometimes. You don't get a word in.
Yeah.
Who are you talking about? Come on, share the.
I don't want to say anybody's name. It might start with the J, both of them, a double J.
Double J.
Honestly, in warm-ups on Sunday, they were just. It was just. How did you find it, Joe, in warm-ups with the two twins, Dumb and Dumber?
It was challenging.
They were throwing the wickets in the up MKM. They were kicking footballs everywhere.
They were excited about the day.
I don't know what was going on. Honestly, it was. They were throwing water in each other's faces and trying to kick each other. I
had to set up all the training stuff. I don't have to, but I like doing it. It's quite a nice thing to do. Set up the football tennis. I'm sure the spectators and listeners have seen us play football tennis. So I set the net up. There's 4 stumps out and a rope, and they kept booting the stumps out of the ground. So I had to keep picking them up, putting them back in, and then when I put them back in, they kick them, pull them out, and then they kept throwing them into the overgrown stuff on the side. So I had to keep going into the nettles to find them.
At one stage, Johnny tied
he tied me
Joe up with the rope that was there.
He tied me up and turned me upside down.
And this is the biggest game of the season.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing for us is probably in years gone past, we've not been so good to switch on, but the fact that we went out and still did the business was fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are definitely the two that would be the leading candidates in a rain-affected game.
Yeah, and they're not, and it's good in the environment you're in. You're winning, they're performing, you're all performing. You can put up with it, can't you? And it's not a doom and gloom comment, this, but as soon as things start going the other way around, then it's not as funny and it gets difficult to manage it. But I'm sure Dan and Ben would be all over that.
No, I think it's fine. I just think it's fantastic that people are able to express themselves a little bit in terms of who they are as a character without getting vilified or having to feel that they have to not be. And I mean, I'm sure people were definitely nervous, even though they didn't want to talk about it. And people deal with stuff like that differently. And I think we had a good chat in the change rooms before we went out, and everything was good to go.
Brilliant, a fantastic day and great work. We've come really up to the conclusion, and we can talk through a few other bits and bats before we finish. Great work from the second team this weekend. They have been promoted. It's mathematically impossible for them not to be promoted, but this Sunday they can win the title at home. So let's get down there, let's get as big a crowd as possible, playing East Lancs at home on Sunday. So please get down and support the second team, and let's have another celebration for them. I've no other questions on here, I don't think. I'll come to you last, Frankie, but I'll just go around the group. Dooch, is there anything you want to bring up? Anything about the goal?
I've had a submitted question, and it's to ask Frankie how his coaching gig at Rottenstall's going.
Oh, thanks, Joe. Who's that from? Is that from like a J/B?
Drew, something like that.
No, I got sacked. It's like one of those backroom staff when the manager gets sacked. the assistant coach gets sacked as well. So I left with the fat man.
All right, okay. I was just wondering because when you got announced as coach, there was like a bit of fanfare, wasn't there, on the Lancashire League website? Frankie's going to coach Rottenstall, and I've not seen anything that that said that you got potted. So I don't know. I just thought you must have still been doing it.
No, it's not been done. I think the more shocking thing is that Dean was wearing his shirt on Sunday, and he was giving me stick about my cricket whites, and we swapped shirts, and my shirt was looser on me than it was on him.
Now, it was interesting when that was announced because, there was, not from us really, but a few people around the league did make comments to me that, is Frankie going to go and play over at Rottenstall? And I'm thinking there's not a chance that Frankie would be playing. His body doesn't work properly. He don't like being in the dressing room when it's raining. Is he ever going to leave Lowerhouse to go and try somewhere else? So that's a shame that it's finished, but I'm sure some people benefited from your coaching, Frank.
Yeah, I think on a serious note, I'm good mates with Barlow. He was really trying to impact some change, and I don't know the ins and outs of politics. I think it was just something to try and help. We've had good discussions about cricket moving forward. It was trying to do a Wednesday night with some of the senior players, and there are obviously obstacles with that as well. But it just didn't quite work out in terms of timing with school. It's our fixture day, so I couldn't always go. And then when Dean decided it's time to go, I think he posed the question. I said, well, my tie was through him.
Yeah.
I would feel a bit, not awkward, but it would feel a little bit uncomfortable for me if I'm there and Dean isn't there anymore.
Yeah, no, I accept that, and it's a good question, Drew. Thanks very much. Keep them coming in. Anything else, Dooch?
Not for Frankie, but I did want to mention that podcast listener Danny Sim is getting married at the weekend, so we'll give him a podcast shout out. Good luck, Danny Sim.
Does that mean Jackson misses another game? Because how many?
Jack doesn't need any encouragement to miss games, but perhaps we will let him off this weekend.
On a weird question, I was saying to Simi on Sunday, have I played more games of cricket than him this season, or has he played more games this season than me this season?
That's a good point, man.
Yeah.
Carry on talking, I'll have a look now.
Yeah, it's interesting. In fact, I've just gone through our WhatsApp messages. We have another question. This is from Drew Peacock as well. I don't know why he sent it me and not you, Dooch. I've looked at the video footage around the celebrations at the end of the game, and I was just wondering why Joe Martin didn't join in. Did they not have size small youth available?
The trunk things.
I'm assuming that's what Drew's getting at, yeah.
I think I addressed this at the start. It's not really. I was in and around the group. It's not really my cup of tea. And one thing that we really encourage is making sure that we be ourselves in the team. And I was being mine. I was actually putting more clothes on than taking them off.
Yeah, so it wasn't anything to do with the size of the trunks.
No, I actually had them on. I had them on like.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm kind of happy with that.
Under his jeans, Jezzy had them on.
Yeah. Well, maybe one day, maybe retirement, or when we win all 4 trophies one year, we could persuade you to give us a flash run round the ground on your own.
It needs to be a warm day.
I'm going to see if it's a serviceable jock strap for your box to bat in.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be good. So, brilliant. Thanks, Dooch, for those questions. And yeah, you're right with Danny. All the best for this weekend, and Jack's missing another game, but hey home, we move on. Joe Martin, anything from yourself before we go to Frankie to finish the episode?
I'm going to go to my usual kind of comment that the Fours finished their season last on Saturday. They beat Todmorden against a reasonably strong Todmorden team as well. They bowled them out for 81 and then knocked them off 1 down. Logan Howarth got another 40 odd. Will Fallows took 4 wickets, so they finish 4th in their league, which is a fantastic achievement again. And obviously we mentioned last week how good a job Pinky's doing, but it's really excellent stuff.
Yeah, great work. For those who don't know, Pinky's a lad who used to play for us years ago. He's come back and he's helping out fantastically well with the juniors, with the youth setup, and also captaining the force. And he's keen to come on and talk about it. So hopefully we'll have him on in the next couple of weeks, and we can really go through the lower sides, the thirds and the fourths and the junior section. And thanks Pinky for his work. So there's nothing else really to talk about on here. Frankie, it's been a pleasure having you on and chatting through the weekend and the way you've been honest about the season and why you didn't play and why you came back. To finish up, what do you want to say?
No, just thanks for having me on. Just back with the seconds, I think it would be amazing. They are so keen to learn. It's a great bunch of lads. I think for next year, if we can get a really healthy second team to get as close as a gap between the first team would be amazing, because there's still kids in there with potential that could potentially be good options for if people do get injured in terms of filling gaps in there and just trying to help promote their development still, even though they're not youngsters anymore, but they're still young enough to develop. Making sure that we try our best in that sense as well and not lose anybody. I think we're in that position where we've got really good second team cricketers to make sure that we don't end up somebody deciding they don't see a way into the first team and maybe go somewhere else to play first team cricket and stuff like that we still try and ensure that there's a pathway there for them as well.
That is a really good point, Frankie, that, there's Will Norcross, the way Charlie Bissell they're getting regular performance, and it's only because the first team are doing so well. So that could change at the drop of a hat. These players could be expected to come in and play important roles. So I'm sure they will be as committed as they have been. But no, it's a great point, that, Frankie. So, Frankie, thanks ever so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Your insight into cricket is fantastic, and the spectators will actually, they love listening to that and getting the views of it. So, if there's nothing else from anyone, we will stop the podcast. Thanks everyone for listening. We will be doing the draw early next week, which is something which is everyone looks forward to. Guess the winner.
Guess the winner. Brilliant.
Guess the winner. So we'll be doing that early next week. And thanks all for listening, and let's continue to support the lads right through to the end of the season. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Gordon, send more house to save the house.
Sorry, Joe.
You're not hate painting?
No, I don't hate it. I really enjoy the satisfaction of peeling the lines off and seeing it being nice and tight. But the bit to get there at times, I'm a bit like, it's a bit mind-numbing, but it's a bit cathartic. I like mowing the lawn or hoovering for that same reason. So it's not, I don't hate it. It's more the prep as I'm putting all the tape on, clean, washing, sanding. That's what it's about.
Jez will know he goes to Spain to paint.
And Portugal.
Yeah.
International painter.
Yeah, don't say much. Lisa's listening.
Painting my arse.
Hey!